Hi, what's up? I'm Channel Pup, the mascot for the level-headed fanboy. And we got our very first look at Marvel's Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 5 just yesterday, at the PlayStation Showcase, which was a pretty exciting event. Now, this whole thing and the lead up to it did get me thinking about the problem with Spider-Man game sequels and the hurdles that Marvel's Spider-Man 2 does need to overcome. See, the problem with Spider-Man game sequels is that it's generally more of the same. You've got the same NYC, like New York is New York. You're not really going to change that. You've got the same overall gameplay because you wouldn't want to change that. It's going to have web swinging, it's going to have combat. There are certain things that are just synonymous with Spider-Man. That's what Spider-Man is, that's what a Spider-Man game needs to be, unless you're doing one of the more platformer-heavy Spider-Man games like, say, Shattered Dimensions or the old PS1 Neversoft titles. But Insomniac are quite committed to having this sort of connected universe with Spider-Man, one singular continuity, which is an exciting thing because it does mean that we are getting this very rich singular timeline. It also means that we can invest in these characters a lot more, but at the same time, I do miss having games that are in different styles too. But it also opens up the problem of, yeah, where can you really go next? We've already had 2 games in this series, and I do think the second one in the series, Spider-Man Miles Morales, does somewhat circumvent the Spider-Man sequel problem. For one, you are playing as a different Spider-Man. Miles Morales is not Peter Parker. So you are playing the game from a very different perspective, which has a major effect on the narrative. Not only that, though, Miles has some unique abilities as well, such as his Venom Blast and invisibility, and that does change the gameplay loop beyond just the aesthetic of playing as a different Spider-Man. But I think something that really sealed the deal, making it not feel so much like just a DLC, but actually making it feel like its own game, was the fact that we got to play in NYC in the thick of winter with snow all over the place. That definitely helped kind of sweeten the deal of a new Spider-Man game in this very familiar playstyle. But it's been almost 2 years since our very first look teaser for Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and in that time we haven't really had a lot to go by. All we really knew up until this point was that you could play as both Peter and Miles, and that Venom and Kraven would be major villains. So, with Venom in the fray, I wasn't immediately sure if we'd even get the black suit in Marvel's Spider-Man 2. In PS4 and Miles Morales, the symbiote was being used to treat Harry Osborn's illness, so I figured that the game would just kind of start off with Harry as Venom from the get-go. Things do change from the source material, and given that Activision kind of over-relied on symbiote Spider-Man to the point of oversaturation, I figured maybe they would sit the black suit out and move straight to Venom. Plus the fact that they did actually go so far as to show Venom in that first look reveal, it shows that he's not gonna keep the black suit, so it made me wonder if they're zooming that far ahead in the marketing, would they maybe just skip the black suit? In terms of expectations, as much as I love these games, as sure as I was that I would love Marvel Spider-Man 2, I was expecting kind of just more of the same, albeit with new bosses, a new story, and a new character switch feature, but lo and behold, it has to be said, Insomniac Games still finds ways to surprise me. For starters, I wasn't expecting a full 12-minute preview. To go from that same teaser and those same images, which were like Purgatory Simulator, to now suddenly 12 minutes, this banquet showcasing a chunk of what this game has to offer, it was really exciting for me to sink my teeth into. It began with the prologue with Craven the Hunter, revealing his design and his motivations for coming to NYC. It's all pretty sound. We seem to have little teasers as to the different characters that he will encounter on his journey to NYC, including a lot of characters reused from Spider-Man PS4, but we can also see Lizard and Wraith on there too. So maybe these are all the villains we'll be encountering, or maybe it's just villains that Kraven is aware of. I'm really liking how Kraven's design is looking as well. He looks excellent. It's his classic costume, but it's been faithfully adapted, but also modernized for the Spider-Man PS4 universe. I'm not sure who's voicing him, but the performance is good, and it looks like he may be the main villain for this one, up until Venom appears, presumably as the final boss. Much like how Mr. Negative and the Demons were the primary antagonist of Spider-Man PS4 before Doc Ock came into the fray. If that's the kind of role that Kraven wants to take, then I think that's a great way of doing it. Now, I did worry that once the Kraven prologue was over, that was it. We were just getting a character teaser for Craven the Hunter. Fortunately, no, that was just the beginning, as we skip to 6 months on, revisiting Peter Parker fighting off Kraven's guys in Queens. Now already, that's quite a big deal. Queens has not been a part of the New York map in a Spider-Man game since Ultimate Spider-Man all the way back in 2005. And here we're seeing it not cartoonish, but properly realized, as now Spidey can go to more residential areas. Excellent. We've got an expansion on the New York map, meaning that it's not just New York is New York, meaning that we're not just playing in the exact same places that we were in the previous games. So Kraven and his crew, I guess, are hunting down Dr. Connors, who's turned himself into the Lizard, confirming another villain for this one if the mid-credits for Spider-Man Miles Morales didn't already. So, having Kraven hunt down the Lizard like some big game animal when he is, in actuality, a person, that's a great concept, even though we have seen it before in Spider-Man 3 the game, which is one of the weaker Spider-Man games up to this point. That was always a really cool concept, which I'm looking forward to seeing properly fleshed out in Spider-Man 2 the game. There's a chance to kind of expand upon that as the main narrative this time around, and to just do it a whole lot better than it was done in Spider-Man 3 the game, because Spider-Man 3 the game, yeah, it's not very good. And here we get the reveal of Peter Parker as Spider-Man. He comes leaping out of the basement to stop an ambush from Kraven's goons, and while we do catch a glimpse of the red suit, it's immediately engulfed by the black suit, revealing out of the gate that the black suit Spider-Man will be playable in this game, and he's bringing with him a very unique combat style. I love the animation for the symbiote suit as it kind of goes over the red suit. I love how it wraps around that red suit and just kind of engulfs it, starting off looking very untidy looking before evening out into its main design, which I'll talk about in a bit. The new combat moves are hard-hitting. There's lots of action from the symbiote itself, rather than just augmenting Peter's abilities. He's now able to use the symbiote as a form of additional limb and can transform into this nightmarish black mass. His arms stretch into tendrils, and it looks like you can get really creative with the combat. I love the point where the symbiote tendrils reach out for one of the goons and just slam him between the different houses in Queens. They're also going very much for the Spider-Man the Animated Series approach for the black suit, in it altering Peter's personality, making him more aggressive. Yuri Lowenthal is turning in a far grittier, more aggressive performance, akin to how Christopher Daniel Barnes would brilliantly overact as an absolutely livid black-suited Spidey.
Shocker! Get back here, Shocker! You can't escape me! I'll chase you to the ends of the earth!
It wouldn't be a symbiote story if they didn't overact with the voice.
So Spidey needs to go and hunt down the Lizard, but he's on the opposite end of the city. So the player is prompted to switch Spideys over to Miles Morales out in Harlem. So both Spideys are taking care of their homesteads in the Big Apple, but it kind of serves as a means for two Spideys to operate on opposite ends of the New York map. So given that Miles is in the city headed for his mission, we get to see some of this game's traversal system. Now, I quickly want to talk a little bit about the traversal in Insomniac Spider-Man games so far. I really like the point launch feature. It feels like Beanox's Web Rush, but far more fast-paced and intuitive. It feels like I'm a lot more in control of Spider-Man, rather than just pointing him where to go and watching him fly there. I also like the parkour elements. They make a lot of sense. They're very easy to pull off, whether it's running up walls or just hopping over cars and different obstacles. Parkour feels obvious for Spidey, and now that he has an actual proper parkour system, yeah, it works really well. These games do traversal really well, but I still think as far as web swinging goes, the Spider-Man 2 movie game is still the one to beat. Because you're doing everything manually, you have to earn your momentum while swinging. If you swing like an idiot, you'll look like an idiot, whereas the Insomniac games seamlessly switch between parkour and web swinging, meaning that if you swing into a wall like an idiot, Spidey will automatically start parkouring. It made the web swinging seem a little shallow because you couldn't possibly mess it up. And also because of that, it made it more restrictive. All of the cool stuff is basically done for you. Moving into the footage we have of Spider-Man 2, while web swinging looks pretty much the same here, there are new elements added that do at least change things up a bit and look rewarding. For one, you can now catapult yourself from 2 launch points, and Spidey gets an insane amount of momentum out of that as he just soars over the city. It looks incredibly satisfying. But then we have a feature that is brand new to Spider-Man games. We have the introduction of web wings, a feature I was honestly kind of surprised we didn't see in the first game, given that MCU Spider-Man would popularize the idea of web swings in 2017, the year before Spider-Man PS4 would release. And that game already drew quite a bit of inspiration from the MCU Spider-Man, particularly in like the eye lenses, for example, and the amount of gadgets that he has in his suit. But hey, now the web wings are here. So, these allow Spidey to glide through the skies at rapid speeds, even with little UI speed rings, where if you fly through the ring, you'll pick up even more speed or maintain your momentum. I don't know exactly how that works yet, but that's what I'm expecting, is that these rings allow you to keep your momentum. So, with Spider-Man games, they generally consist of just web swinging through New York as your main method of traversal. So, including web wings is a total game changer, as it adds an entirely new level of traversal that I can't wait to try for myself. I'm hoping that your swing speed will be a major contributing factor dictating the momentum that you get out of using the web wings. So if you swing low or with not enough momentum, you'll glide slowly, whereas if you get a really good swing in there, you get the reward of speed. It's a way of bringing the reward factor back into the traversal. We also get a look at stealth combat, again with a brand new feature. Spidey can walk on his own web lines and create his own vantage points, allowing for even more creativity in these stealth sections, on top of Miles' advantages like invisibility. Miles' Venom Blast has also received a bit of a makeover. For one, the effect is now blue instead of yellow, but what I love most about this is how his entire chest lights up, revealing his ribcage. It makes me wonder if this character model actually has real bones. But it also looks like you can do a lot more with his Venom Blast ability as well, such as getting multiple targets all at once. Again, just really upping the ante. So we're chasing Lizard down in this fish market, and there are so many fish guts everywhere. It's gotta stink in there. I was honestly a little surprised by just the gore of this game so far. And yeah, it's fish gore, but still, that's a lot of fish gore. Like, not good for anyone with a sensitive stomach, but hey, at least we haven't reached the point of smell-o-vision just yet. So our two Spideys, Miles and Peter, then swing across the East River, protecting the Lizard from Kraven's goons, and the New Yorkers from the Lizard. It's a thrilling sequence, easily up there with the gameplay reveals for Spider-Man PS4 and Miles Morales, revealing a cinematic set piece. The characters switch between Peter and Miles rapidly. We've got the web wings gliding through a barrage of different attacks, including poisonous gases and missiles. Now again, East River is a new area we haven't yet explored in this series. But while we've had water, while we've had the sea, we've never had a sequence take place above the water before. We've also got Miles using Genki's drone to jet ski using his webs, web surfing on a boardwalk. There's a lot of new stuff here. I do wonder if it is possible to call up Genki's drone to web surf just in-game at your own liberty, or if that is a purely situational set piece. I'm looking forward to finding out, and I won't be mad if it is just a set piece thing, but even so, it would be awesome if we could just call it up at any time. But that's the overall preview, and I'm happy with how it's looking. The highlight of all of this for me are the new traversal mechanics, as I love having the option to change things up with Spidey as opposed to just the basic web swinging. The web wings are just a game changer to me. I think Miles Morales is going to separate this game from the typical black suit Spider-Man story. We do see that the black suit turns Peter edgy in this one, even down to him just chucking a civilian he saved onto the floor with zero regard face first. Miles and Genki both acknowledging that Peter is acting different, and I mean, go figure, he's turned into an eldritch abomination covered in gooey tendrils. I really do have to wonder how Peter's gonna play that off. The thing is, it's quite clearly alive and gross, yet it seems to go unacknowledged. With the black suit story though, you typically have a story where Peter isn't himself. Having Miles to offset that is going to be a really nice change of pace, and it's nice to see that there's still a Spider-Man out there who isn't losing his way. I doubt he'll fall victim to the symbiote too. I think this is setting up an incredible boss battle between Miles and Peter. Perhaps that could be the catalyst that leads Peter to ditch the black suit. But I think that Miles and Peter dynamic is going to get very interesting in this one, and I can't wait to see it. The old school Spider-Man who lost his way and the new generation who isn't going to compromise on those principles and will be there to snap him out of it. Sounds great to me. Now, going by the dialogue, Peter seems to have taken the symbiote suit from Harry. It does lead me to wonder if Harry will become Venom in the end, or if that honor will go to Eddie Brock, which I'm hoping it does, as I say, go for the classic. Eddie Brock is the quintessential Venom, so I hope it's him in the end. Besides, I really can't see Tony Todd voicing Harry Osborn, unless he's purely just the voice of the symbiote. Speaking of villains, it looks like they're doing very cool and inventive things with the Lizard. Tracking him down to a fish market was a really awesome idea, but I love how he's shedding his skin as he's kind of evolving. And yeah, when you first get that reveal of the shed lizard skin, it's creepy as hell. I definitely get the sense that they've killer crocified him though, because now he's this massive, imposing, dinosaurian-looking bloke that you definitely would not want to meet in the East River, like poor Miles Morales does. So I am wondering just how many alternate costumes will be featuring in this game, as we've got Peter in his red suit, Peter in his black suit, and Miles Morales. That's 3 different playable Spider-Men, effectively, and that'd be 3 times the amount of suits from previous games. So with that, we do need to talk about the suit design a little bit. I've always felt Insomniac Spider-Man designs have been a bit hit and miss. Miles' suit in Spider-Man Miles Morales was a gorgeous modernization of Miles' classic Spidey design, but I've never been big on Peter's suits, especially not the advanced suit. All those unnecessary cuts in the red sections and the orangey hue and the overly light blue, and yeah, I guess I'm just not a massive fan of the white spider on the chest. It all feels just a little bit over-designed. Heck, I felt Black Cat and Electro suits were also victim to the Insomniac over-design curse. That being said, I did think the new advanced suit that we saw in the first teaser for Spider-Man 2 was a huge improvement over the previous version, with nicer colors, a richer red, and just nicer form, like less cuts, just a little less over-designed, you know? Miles has seen an ever so slight downgrade, not by much, but I just didn't think the red stripes going down the arms and onto the hands were really necessary. I think it looked a lot more balanced without that. And I feel like having red on the back of the hands kind of gets rid of that fingerless glove kind of look, which is disappointing because I love the fingerless glove look on the Spider-Man suit. It's why I really love the upgraded suit for MCU Spider-Man. Just those gloves look fantastic. Then we have the black suit, which I'm guessing I'm going to be in a minority when it comes to my thoughts on this. So I do appreciate that they've gone down the route of the classic black suit. The spider on the chest, that's the classic symbiote spider, and that makes me very happy. There's no webs on this. It is, from a distance, just the classic black suit Spider-Man. But this one is probably the worst in terms of over-design, in my opinion anyway. There are major textural changes throughout this suit, as some areas are bulky and smooth and segmented, while others are very rigid and sort of alive symbiotic looking. I don't mind the segmented shoulders. In fact, I kind of wish this whole suit was just like this segmented exoskeleton like that of a real spider made to fit the musculature of a human being, but instead we've got a smooth segmented suit over the chest, shoulders, head, and waist, but with jagged moving sections on the neck and biceps, and it just looks really messy to me. And of course, armor lines, even going around the jaw and head. It also just looks like our boy is wearing Crocs. This just looks incredibly over-designed to me. It's not outright bad, but over-designed. And I just know that once the hype is over, people will be throwing the same criticism at this that you see for MCU suits, which are 10 times less egregious than this here. Also, yeah, there is no excuse for Peter to not know that this suit is a gross living organism. I'm sure we'll see some alternate suits available, and if there's a classic version or a Spider-Man 3 version, I'll be switching to that and be all the happier for it. My issue with this suit is just purely like, it would have been fine if they just went with one of these ideas that's here, but no, we got several. A nice detail, though, is when Spidey gets angry at the end of this trailer, his eyes turn into sort of that venomized, jagged look, which I really like. It's a way of expressing things a little differently, and a bit of foreshadowing to Venom in the future. I think that's a cool idea. Also, another aesthetic point, I guess, is I like the new heads-up display, how Peter's has sort of this heart monitor look, while Miles' version is a bit more colorful with this little pixel heart. It's a much better look than that blue look they had in the previous games, which honestly, at this stage, is such an overused aesthetic that it just looks like a preset. The graphics too, like, it looks to be a step up from Spider-Man PS4 and Spider-Man Miles Morales, albeit not hugely noticeable to the untrained eye. The lighting looks much more natural. There's a lot of new post-processing effects that make the city look just that little bit more lifelike. But at this point, as technology advances, those changes are going to get more and more granular, more and more, I guess, marginal. Is that the word I'm looking for? So on a whole, it looks like Spider-Man 2 is really changing things up and just adding new layers to the basic Spider-Man functionality. And that's something I'm really pleased to see. Black Suit Peter looks to have the playstyle of his very own, giving us 3 playstyles that are similar enough to not break the pace, but different enough to keep things fresh. I'm really hoping they won't be bringing back the MJ playable character sections. Her missions and the depowered Miles Morales missions from Spider-Man PS4 were often the very thing to get me to quit Spider-Man PS4 and not pick it up for a bit on replay. It'd be like, I'm playing through the game, suddenly I see I've got to play as one of those two, I'll quit the game, I won't pick it up for another couple of months. Fortunately for me, on the PC version, there is a mod that removes them entirely from Spider-Man Remastered. So, yeah. I don't want to spend ages playing as non-superpowered characters whose story is a flashback, so we know they're going to survive anyway. I mean, okay, the flashback part, that's not true of all of them, but more of them than there should be. Am I completely sated? Not entirely. There are still a few things I would like to see from Spider-Man 2. One of which being combat on the side of walls, like Web of Shadows. The combat in these games has been good, but you can never fight people on the side of the wall, which feels like a bit of a waste for a Spider-Man game. I'd like them to make it so that we can web swing with both hands like we did in Spider-Man 2 and 3 the game, so we can make a sort of web trapeze thing. Again, just more ways to get creative with the web swinging and traversal. You know how you can run up walls? I'd also like to run down walls. You could do that in a lot of Spider-Man games, but for some reason you can't do it in the Insomniac ones. I would like to see a bit more variety in the side missions. It feels like the Insomniac games so far don't quite know what to do with Spidey when he's not beating people up. I'd like to see some side missions, like things like, I don't know, delivering pizzas or rescuing people or taking them to hospitals, a bit more like in Spider-Man 2 the game. I will literally take Oh No My Balloon as a side mission if it means adding a bit more variety. Also, I know they were skippable, but I don't want to see any more of those science puzzles making their way into this one. They completely broke the flow of the game, and they look like presets. It looks like, you know, my first game builder, make a little puzzle, and they just dropped a few presets into the game. As it is, Spider-Man 2 the game is looking fantastic, but if Insomniac Games can deliver on some of the things that I've talked about here, we are really, really onto a winner. As it stands, though, this game looks phenomenal. For one, like, you typically compare Spider-Man games based on what's the web swinging like, what's the combat like. In this case, we've got all that there, but we've got 3 different Spideys to play as in this big open environment, complete with a brand new traversal system that's gonna put this game a cut above some of the others. And I think this story looks to be really promising. I've got a lot of faith in Insomniac Games, and a lot of faith in these Spider-Man games. Maybe this will be the best one yet. But for now, there are still a few more things I feel like I need to see before I can completely outright say that. I mean, obviously I need to play it as well. But even if they're not showing me absolutely everything I wanted to see, they've shown a lot. Some things I didn't even know I wanted, like web wings. That's awesome. But yeah, on a whole, very exciting preview. Really looking forward to the game. I am quite glad that they kind of didn't reveal anything until nearer to the date, because now it doesn't feel like we got too long to wait for the game to actually come out. I appreciate that. But alright, what do you guys think of the gameplay preview? What do you think of the black suit? What do you think of all the things we talked about today? Comment below, discuss, and as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, be sure to hit subscribe, hit the like button, that would mean a lot to me. And if you do want to get your name in the credits of my videos, you can do so for as little as $1 a month. And now a special shout out for the patrons in the $10 tier, which I'll be doing in the best Venom impression I can do. Their names are
Dare Denny, Gail Bennett, That Chordo, King K, Legendary Ray Ray, Dr. SP here with your PSA for the week. Americans, act responsibly over the 3-day weekend. Everyone else, just Monday. Sergio, so is the skeptic. I love the Boss Baby movies. I'm their biggest fan. Thank you. We are very grateful.
And now for a shout out for those in the $5 tier and above, who are Broski, SSS06, Dazzle Fizzle, and Council of Geeks. Your patron pledges mean a lot to me. And yeah, you can join the Patreon for as little as $1 a month, and you get some exclusive content as well. A bit of ad-free stuff too, so yeah. But as for the rest of you guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.